Welcome to our explainer. Today, we're digging into an ancient prophet's really fiery critique of his society. And it's a message that, you'll see, cuts right through all the noise, even today, exposing that classic tension between how things look and how they really are. So, think about this for a second. How do you really take the temperature of a society? Is it all about the fancy buildings and the booming economy? Or is it something deeper? We're going to explore how the prophet Isaiah answers this exact question by looking right past the glittering surface of his world to diagnose a massive problem festering deep inside. All right, so our first case study comes from the 3rd chapter of Isaiah. And this is where the prophet, he zooms right in on the elite women of Jerusalem. The trendsetters, the influencers of their day. Now, you have to understand, Isaiah wasn't just some ancient fashion critic, okay? He saw these very specific actions, the proud way they held their heads, those flirty glances. He saw them as giant billboards, advertising a deep internal attitude of pride and self-obsession. To him, the way they looked on the outside was a total dead giveaway for what was happening on the inside. I mean, the scene Isaiah paints is just dripping with luxury. And to make his point, he doesn't just talk in generalities. Oh, no. It's like he pulls out a receipt and starts reading off this detailed, almost overwhelming list of all their stuff. So when you look at this list, what's so powerful here is just the sheer length of it. I mean, it goes on and on. Isaiah isn't just naming a few nice things. He's using the crushing weight of all this stuff to paint a picture of a culture totally lost in excessive, self-absorbed opulence. And that brings us to the crucial point. For Isaiah, these weren't just fashion choices. Not at all. They were symptoms of a much bigger systemic sickness. This whole outward show of wealth and sophistication, it was just a mask hiding the ugly inner reality, a culture of pride, arrogance, and a deep corruption of the heart that made them totally blind to the suffering all around them. So let's get right to the core principle here, because this is where it all comes together. For Isaiah, the external is always a reflection of the internal. You simply can't separate them. What you see on the outside is always, and I mean always, a product of what's really going on inside. And the prophets use such vivid physical language. The phrase, to stretch out the neck, that wasn't just a random description. It was a well-known idiom in their culture for pride. So Isaiah uses this very concrete physical posture to diagnose a spiritual disease. It's just a brilliant way to show how our inner attitudes actually show up in our bodies. And this idea, it's so powerful that it echoes for centuries right into the New Testament. The Apostle Peter makes the exact same point, drawing that sharp contrast between external beauty, which fades, and the lasting, unfading beauty of your inner character. It's just a timeless, universal truth. Okay, so to really drive his message home, Isaiah switches gears. He goes from being a social critic to a storyteller. He uses this incredible agricultural parable, which is actually a pretty rare way of teaching in the Old Testament, to show the nation's failure from a totally different angle. He tells this story about a vintner who represents God, and this vintner just pours all this meticulous, loving care into his vineyard, which represents the people. I mean, he does everything perfectly. He picks the best land, clears the stones, plants the absolute finest vines, even builds a watchtower for protection. He literally sets this vineyard up for total success. But then, here comes the tragic twist. After all that work, all that grace and investment, the owner comes to get his harvest. And he finds nothing. Or actually worse than nothing. The vineyard produced only these worthless, wild, bitter grapes. So despite being given every single advantage, it was a complete and utter failure. So, what was this bad fruit? What did it actually represent? This, my friends, brings us to the stunning climax of the whole parable, and it all hinges on one of the most brilliant and powerful word plays in all of prophetic literature. You've got to hear this. And this right here just lays the whole critique bare. In the original Hebrew, these pairs of words sound almost identical. God looked for mishpat, which is justice, but instead he found mispach, bloodshed. He looked for tzedakah, righteousness, but all he heard was ze'akah, the cry of the oppressed. It's just this devastating, poetic gut punch. So let's just break this down for a second. This bad fruit, it wasn't some small mistake. No, it was a horrifying reversal of everything God intended. Instead of mishpat, justice, which is all about making sure others get what they're due, there was violence. Instead of tzedakah, that deep, burning compassion for the vulnerable, there was only the ze'akah, the screams of victims. the society was producing the exact, brutal opposite of its entire purpose. And, Isaiah's ancient words, they don't just stay in the past. They have a way of leaping right into our present and forcing us to ask the same really hard questions of ourselves. What kind of fruit is our society producing? Our culture? Even our own lives? Because in the end, that's what truly reveals what's in our hearts.